something about colors, its application using the color wheel, color theory, color psychology, and creating your own color scheme when painting or creating art. Now, color is one of nature's gift to humans, not just for art making or graphic design, but also in keeping us from harm and making us feel something like emotions and get ideas from it. One example is when we see fire. Immediately when we see fire from afar, we think of danger. The red color suggests danger and intense emotions. That is why when we see red colors from warning sign, we immediately associate it with the danger given out by flames. This is what we call color psychology. This set of illustration is by Cindy Chong from the website Very Well. As you can see, different colors have different meanings based on how we interact with them or how we grew with them. For example, we often associate the color red with danger and also love because when we grow old or as we grow old, we associate the color red with the shape of the heart, which is the symbol for love. Another example is black. We often associate black with mystery, with darkness. That is why when we see black in character or graphic design, we associate this color with loneliness, creepiness, darkness, sadness, and much more. Another example is the green color. When we see green colors, we associate it with nature and sometimes money because most of our currencies are in the green color. Here's another example, the blue sky. When we see the sky, we associate it with the feeling of freedom as well as sadness and isolation because most of the times blue colors gives out that blueness feeling or the feeling of being alone. Another is the forest, which is generally in color green. When we see these colors, we associate it with freshness, nature, growth, and sometimes money and luck as well. Neon colors such as violet, orange, and yellow gives out energy and enthusiasm. That is why when we go to bars, when we see these colors, we feel the vibe coming in and the pop feeling of enthusiasm. So most of graphic designs that are created with violet, orange, and yellow gives out that kind of vibe, that energy and enthusiasm that we feel when we see neon lights. What do you feel or what will you feel when you see these paintings? This is Genesis by H.R. Ocampo. The colors used are red, yellow, and orange. What do you feel? Comment your answers down below or in our chat box. Yes, you're right. Most of the feelings that people get from this painting is anger and passion because it resembles fire. It resembles the color of fire, which is, you're right, color red. Now, this painting is actually seen at the Cultural Center of the Philippines Main Theater. This is used as a curtain for performances, which, well, gives the audience excitement, intense emotions, and passion. Should we say it reignites the passion of the people who watch this show in the Cultural Center of the Philippines. Another example is The Blue Guitarist by Pablo Picasso and The Scream by Edward Munch. Now, The Blue Guitarist is, well, obviously in blue color, but what emotion does it give to you? Comment your answers below or in our chat box. You're right. Most of you are correct. It gives out an emotion of deep sadness because of the dark blue colors being used. Well, it's not very forward that it's saying, oh, I'm sad. But it's a subtle, a subconscious suggestion that when we see the blue guitarist or blue colored paintings, we feel that sense of sadness and isolation. On the contrary, the orange colors used by Edward Monk and the red and the amalgamation with the blue colors gives color tension. These colors don't always go together, but the use of orange and blue gives tension to the feeling of the painting. That is why we feel anxious or we feel the scream coming from the character in the painting. We also can infer from the painting anger, intense emotions, and other extreme emotions that you can feel because of the color orange and red. Now, this is another familiar painting with a dark background. This painting is called The Girl with the Pearl Earring by Vermeer. This painting is one of the most mysterious painting known to, well, the humankind. Why is that? Because no one can say if the girl is looking towards the audience or away from the audience. One contributing factor is the massive black background that you can see. Again, from color psychology, what do we know from black backgrounds? That is right. Black backgrounds gives us creepiness, mysteriousness, and, well, isolation. That is why this painting is very effective in conveying its mysterious effect. Now, here are some of the meanings of colors in color psychology. Red gives intensity, fire, blood, energy, danger, love, passionate, strong, and appetizing. That's why the colors of ketchup that we all know are commonly in the color of red. Well, violet gives in royalty, power, nobility, wealth, ambition, dignity, and mysteriousness. Blue gives in sky, ideas, the feeling of the sea, depth, stability, trust, sadness, tranquility, and peace. That is why, aside from the feeling of being blue or sad, blue gives in the idea of trustworthiness and stability. That's why social media sites such as Facebook, Twitter, and banks here in the Philippines are in the color blue, such as BDO and the likes. We are inclined to give our trust in this stable color such as blue. Now, green gives in nature, growth, rest, freshness, healing, and safety. That's why um, alcohol brands such as Green Cross are in the color green because it's the color of healing. It is also advisable for people such as you students and us teachers to color our room green to refresh our eyes and heal our eyes. Colors such as yellow gives in sunshine, joy, cheerfulness, intellect, energy, and attention, while orange gives warmth, enthusiasm, happiness, and energy. That's why most of the vitamin brands that we know are in the color of orange and yellow. Now, here are some of the products that are the practical application of this color psychology. It's not just always art. Everything around us have color because colors are inspired by nature. And the ideas given out by nature can also be applied in other non-organic applications such as logos of our products. We can see that in red we have Red Bull, Nintendo, and Coca-Cola, all of which are products that are exciting. We have navy blue, which has products such as Facebook, Twitter, Reebok. All of these are dignified and stable products which we feel that we are inclined to trust. Now, how can we make use of this color psychology and ideas? First, we need to learn something about color theory. Color theory is the understanding of how colors are used in graphic design, artworks, and product making. First, we need to learn some technical terms such as hue, value, and saturation. Now, hue is the word that is used to determine the absolute name of the color. For example, red is an example of a hue. Blue is also an example of a hue. And yellow is also an example of a hue. So those are the names of the absolute color that we see. Value, on the other hand, is the amount of lightness or amount of darkness in the color. For example, this blue is different from this blue. Now, the blue of the E is lighter while the Victory blue is darker. Okay? We call those colors with much white or lighter touch tints. Okay? Tint is used to distinguish colors with whiter pigments or much white pigments, while shade is used to determine colors which have darker pigments or have darker colors with them. Now, the third term is saturation. Saturation, on the other hand, is the amount of color in the color or the amount of hue in a color. So, let's try to know a bit more about these terms as we see some diagrams. Now, grayscale is a term that we use to determine a picture which has black and white gradation. So it's just black with the different shades of black up to the absolute absence of black, which is white. So kumbaga ito yung mga pictures na we call black and white. We call it technically grayscale. On the other hand, we also have monochromatic. So it's grayscale but in color. So it's the intensity of colors within a single hue. Now, single hue, it's a single hue with varying tints or light side and shades or the dark sides. As you can see, this is a darker red progressing to a lighter red or a tint of red. From a shade of red to a tint of red. The same applies to green and same applies to yellow. So we can use this in photography, artworks, and other media that we can incorporate colors in. Let's take this first as an example. Now, this is a picture that I took somewhere here in our area. As you can see, it is in full color. But what will be the effect if we make it as a grayscale picture? What do you feel when you see a grayscale picture? Does the two picture differ in terms of the mood or idea being conveyed? Comment your answers in our chat box or below. Now, as you can see, when we apply color psychology, when we apply what we've learned in color psychology, black and white colors gives in isolation, peacefulness, and it increases the drama of the artwork as well. Let's change it into a monochromatic picture. Now, let's compare the blue picture to the black and white picture. What does the light blue color give to you? What emotions do you feel when you're looking at this sample? Most of the colored blue paintings or pictures give in isolation, peace, sometimes sadness, or stability. It's very subjective, but we have this certain feeling na nagkakaisa tayo when we see blue-colored pictures such as this. That is the feeling of freedom and peacefulness. Let's compare it to another monochromatic application. How about this? Compare the two paintings, or picture rather. The red picture suggests a much intense emotion, while the blue version of that picture suggests a calmer disposition, a much peaceful emotion. The red increases the anger or the passion or the intensity of the drama of the picture. So that is how you will use or how you can use monochromatic color schemes or palettes. Now, saturation is, as we said, is the amount of color in a color. So the less color, the duller the color is, the more the color, the brighter or the much alive, mas buhay the color is. While brightness is the gradation from the shade to the tint. So if you have more white in your color, you call that a tint. The higher the brightness, the higher the tint. While the lower the brightness, the higher the shade. Now, these are all seen in a very handy tool, which we call the color wheel. We have different versions of the color wheel, but we are familiar with this one, the primary color wheel. The primary color wheel consists of solid colors such as red, yellow, and blue. So they are not mixtures of colors, but they're individually their own colors. So they can stand alone as a color. But the secondary color wheel contains the mixture or the in-betweens of these colors. So when we add yellow and blue, we will have green. So that's why it's in between blue and yellow. The same applies to red and yellow. When we add that, we will have orange. Very good. And we will have violet when we add blue and red. The tertiary color wheel is much complicated because it contains the shade and the tints of all those colors and the colors in between the secondary color wheel. Now, there are different color schemes or combination of colors that we can use in painting. We can make use of the warm colors seen on a color wheel. These warm colors give an inviting, energetic, and warm feeling to the painting, while the cool colors give a peaceful, calm, and, well, oftentimes these are used for relaxing pictures. Let's see. Some of the color schemes that we can use are the analogous color scheme, complementary color scheme, and the tetradic or triadic color scheme. Let's know a bit more about these color schemes. Now, the analogous color schemes are the colors that are next to each other in the color wheel. One example is red, orange, and yellow. Another is blue, indigo, and violet. So you can see that they are tabi-tabi or next to each other doon sa color wheel. We call that analogous color scheme. One example again is Genesis by H.R. Ocampo. So because it is analogous, it has a certain feeling of unity in terms of color, and it intensifies the temperature of the color. If it's warm or cool, in this case, this is warm, the warmth and the hotness of the painting is intensified. Another is the complementary colors. So complementary colors are colors that are opposite in the color wheel. So if you're having problems in visualizing or you don't have a copy of your color wheel, you can always identify your color wheel by arranging your crayons or your colors that you have with you. So you start with red and you think, what's beside red? Is it yellow or blue? What's the answer? Yes, it's yellow. But what is in between red and yellow? Is it blue or orange? You're right, it's orange. In that way, you can arrange your colors in a manner of arranging it like a color wheel. Now, let's go back to the complementary colors. We can use colors such as blue and orange together, red and green, violet and yellow, parang Lakers, di ba? Teal and dark red-orange. So these colors doesn't come together that good. Hindi sila partners talaga na magandang gamitin. Pero they can create contrast kapag magamit sila ng maganda. You remember the logo of Lakers and their jerseys? The colors are used nicely. That's why it's not off-putting to look at. One example also is A Night Cafe by Vincent van Gogh. Notice how reds and greens are juxtaposed or used together nicely. Hindi sila off-putting na pangit tingnan. And you can see then na teal colors and orange colors are used together in a painting in such a way na hindi siya off-putting or pangit tingnan. So that's one application of complementary colors. Now, triadic or tetradic colors are colors that are spaced equally apart on the color wheel. So we have examples such as violet, teal, yellow, green, and orange. So they are equally apart like a square, while triadic forms a triangle. So they are three colors spaced apart such as red, yellow, and blue. So parang triangle ang ginagawa niya. Now, how about you? What is your favorite color and what does this color make you feel? Comment your answers below and let's have a discussion about it.